I'm Michael Connor. Nobody said that the Texans had to win in a fashion that was fun or pretty or exciting or cool. All they said was that they had to win, right? And they did that, getting back to 500 on the season. We got a lot to break down right here on the Texan Squad Show.
Stan Norfleet with you, Texans fans. We celebrate dubs around here, don't we? Goodness, Thursday can't get here fast enough. We'll break down what happened today in Nashville.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
And the Texans are victorious in this one against the Tennessee Titans today. We got a lot to get to, including Stan saying nice things. Yes, the Texans at 5-5 now in the season. I'm Michael Connor. That's Stan Norfleet. Thank you for joining us for the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Whether you're watching it later on, listening to it later on, or watching live, we always appreciate you. Make sure you're subscribed to the Locked On Texans YouTube channel, and you can get the podcast anywhere that you get your podcast, and it is absolutely free. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. All right, Stan, let's just get into the meat of it. First of all, there's a lot to digest from this one, from a game that didn't feel like it had a lot in it. I just was looking over my little scribbles of notes throughout. The second half side of my sheet has a lot of stuff on it that was interesting. The first half was a big fat nothing across the board. I mean, I don't know where you want to go. I guess give them the praise early for as bad as this team was early in the season, and now being without C.J. Stroud for 2 consecutive football games. They do have their record at 5-5 as they head into the gauntlet that we have talked about quite a bit recently.
The Texans should be applauded. I know aesthetically it wasn't as pleasing as we might want it to be, but the Texans should be applauded after starting 0-3 to be winners 5 of their last 7. The schedule is the schedule. The injuries are the injuries on both sides. But here they are. They're still in the hunt, and they get to fight for the opportunity for another, 5 days until Buffalo comes in here on Thursday Night Football. You took care of the division. You sweeping a division opponent. The defense was their normal top of the league self by and large. There were some lapses here and there, but that's going to happen on any given Sunday. But again, with a backup quarterback in Davis Mills, special teams obviously kicking the game winner there to walk it off, they did enough. And there is a formula for these Texans to get wins. There were some things that I liked. There were some things that were telling down the stretch.
I think of all the things today, and I guess we could start on the positive end of things. We can get into things that bothered us a little bit as we moved along before we I think it's probably fair, since we got such a short week, to take a little bit of a look ahead in terms of how this team's going to look Thursday against the Buffalo Bills, and who's playing quarterback is the other question. I want to talk about that as well. Not from a standpoint of performance, but from the standpoint of health. I really thought today, Stan, I mean, looking back at the great things in it in the second half specifically, they came out and they scored on, now, too many field goals, as always. I'll give you that. But they scored on 3 straight drives, their first 3 drives of the second half. But I thought they got more aggressive with the play calling. I don't know about you. They felt like they got more aggressive. They got more assertive with it. And really, they focused, it felt like, a lot more on their best player that's out there, and that's Nico Collins. I mean, that was, to me, the story of the game today.
Yeah, the formula for the Texans winning is, is really quite simple. They want to be able to try and establish the run. We'll talk more about Woody Marks here in just a little bit. And then they want to be able to dink and dunk and then take their shots when they're there, buffered by an excellent defense and typically special teams unit is up to par. The formula is really simple. Get Nico Collins the football. What do you have, 9 receptions on 10 targets off the top of my head? Let me make sure that's right.
9 for 92.
Yeah, 9 for 92 on a touchdown, 10 targets for Nico. Force feed him the football. I thought late in the ball game, I believe that was the game-winning drive, Nico was able, Davis Mills layers the ball over the defender there in the cover 2 concept, and he's able to get some toe drag swag, and it was a first down and gave them some much-needed yardage. Give Nico Collins the football. Dalton Schultz playing again at a pseudo Pro Bowl level again today. I saw some things late from Woody Marks when they had to run the football, trying to run that clock down, and Trent Brown absolutely mauling dudes from there at the right tackle. We'll talk more about the offensive line today here momentarily, but I thought they ran the ball when they had to run the ball, trying to grind that clock down, and Woody Marks and that offensive line, it all worked together and it worked well. So I understand why you would say it's aggressive play calling. For me, excuse me, I thought the execution was functional today, and Nico Collins is a big reason why, a big piece of that puzzle.
I guess I just felt that it was more aggressive because it didn't feel like in the first half they attempted to even push the ball at all, like even 10, 15 yards down the field. And it just felt like they came out in the second half and just decided, okay, what are we doing here? We're playing the Tennessee Titans. This is literally the worst team football. We should just play with a little bit more aggressive, style here. I think that was the thing that stood out to me more than anything else.
It felt to me like the Texans came out today like a team that expected the Titans to just lay down.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Titans were putting up more of a fight, the Texans was like, oh, gosh, okay, now we got to play for real. And then they cut it on in the second half. Also, I will say this. I wonder if that play calling was conservative in the first half, because you don't want to give a bad team energy and juice, especially on the road. So had Davis Mills turned the football over, and he did not, but had he turned the football over early, maybe creating short field or giving points away to the Titans, it could have made the Texans fight with a little bit more urgency and anxiety, better word. But that wasn't the case. Nick Caley opened it up, and they executed much better in the second half.
Yeah, and this was a team that came out on the very first drive. I mean, that was, to me, I was a little bit, I don't know about you, I was a little bit, oh, no, here we go. This is going to be tough. When that first drive, they come out 15 plays and kill over 6 minutes off the clock, get bailed out on a Jeffrey Simmons penalty on the touching the snapper, and then you can't get it in the end zone. I appreciated being aggressive there and trying to get it, but it's kind of felt like that kind of took some of the wind out of their sails early, and they couldn't really rebound from that in the first half.
Look, I think this team needs to be honest about where they are. I do not love Nick Caley, this red area. When you start getting down in the low red area, having to throw the ball to Nico Collins on the 3-yard line, like you start getting into that type of stuff. There's nothing wrong with throwing for touchdowns. I'm not going to be picky. I'm just saying stylistically, from a formula standpoint, you cannot hang your hat on that, especially when this weather changes, not here in Houston, but when this weather starts to change across the rest of the league and across the country. You just can't bank on that. You should be able to be physical, run the ball in, get your backs and tight ends involved in the short game. And again, it's just something that I keep my eye on. What were they today from the red zone?
Not great. Tell you that, whatever the number was.
Today in the red area, they were 1 for 3. Like, this team has a problem in the red area, and it has to be addressed by the play caller and as well as the execution.
No, without a doubt. And I think more than anything else, now you did mention it a minute ago, they really struggled today to run the football, really overall. Now, late in the game, well, before we get into the negative of not running the football, we've watched them in the last few weeks really start to just put the workload basically on Woody Marks here. And it's pretty obvious he's RB1, and Nick Chubb is a supplement when they need him to supplement at this point. But when they needed it today, and I thought that was a good sign, is that you struggled to do it the whole game, but you got the chunk plays on the ground at the end of the game when you needed to get them.
Yeah, I think had they played a better competitor today, the Texans, this effort would not have been good enough, but it was.
Correct.
So we're going to celebrate that. And they're not going up against, chopped liver, T'Vondre Sweat, of course, Jeffrey Simmons, Arden Key had himself a ball game. They got real guys over there on defense, at least on that front line for the Tennessee Titans. So I thought, overall, rushing the football, Woody Marks gets the start today. Overall, running the football, Woody Marks averaged 2.4 yards per carry. Nick Chubb, 5.7, but only on 3 carries. So it sounds like Nick Caley, who's been listening to this show, I know Nick Caley listens to us, and D'Amico as well, and they went in and got a game plan. And, of course, they listened to John Hickman on the Texans, Locked On Texans Daily Show. Woody Marks gives this team the most juice from the backfield although the overall yardage wasn't there. I think the Texans combined for about 75 yards today on the ground. So not amassing 100 yards rushing is not a formula that can typically lead to success for this team. But Woody Marks gives them the most juice, and I really appreciate what the offensive line as well as Davis Mills did down the stretch in terms of featuring Woody Marks in those moments, that crucial final drive.
Talk about the offensive line here in just a few moments, but I did want, before we get out of the first segment, to talk about the quarterback as well. 2 weeks in a row now with Davis Mills starting. Obviously, they did not win when he came into the game when CJ had the concussion, but you go 2-0. Now, I'm going off of the assumption that CJ is going to play this week. That's obviously no guarantee with protocols and whatnot. I think I'd be shocked if he doesn't play after 2 weeks off.
I don't know, MC.
I mean, I don't know either. It just feels like, to me, I don't know. It feels wild that he missed 3 weeks in a row with a concussion, but who knows, right? You just don't know.
But you also got to remember, he also missed 2 games during 2023. So when you all have repeated concussions, I think it gives them some cause for pause there. I hope he's out there versus Buffalo, but I'm not ready to say that he's out of the woods just yet.
Oh, yeah, no. We're not going to know until what? Tuesday, probably.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, because I don't know what the practice schedule is going to look like. But you win again with Davis Mills. He made some plays when you needed him to make some plays. Obviously, the week before the final drive of the game, to go out there and run that ball in 3rd and goal at the whatever it was, that long run, 14 or whatever. Yeah. And then today, you mentioned the throw a few moments ago. The Nico Collins throw was a really big throw, and it was a really great catch by Nico too. But what do you think it does for the mentality of a football team when you're able to go out there 2 weeks in a row without your star quarterback and win with your backup?
Well, I said it last week. I think that when we did this post-game show last week, I thought Davis Mills gave this team some insurance and some confidence that no matter what happens, meaning if CJ can or cannot go, Davis will give them a chance, especially when that defense playing like that. And his special teams better today than they were last week overall. It just gives the team confidence, and they know unquestionably that CJ Stroud is this player. There's no quarterback controversy in Houston, but it does make you feel like your efforts aren't in vain, and to some degree, you can galvanize the locker room. It's like, all right, Davis is going to put us in position. Now, the thing that's glaring to me, and I forget, I think Davis had 45 attempts last week.
45 last week.
41 attempts today. That's not a recipe that we want Davis Mills. We don't want CJ Stroud throwing the ball 41 times. I don't like when those numbers start getting up there. But again, they force-fed Nico the ball. You get the ball to Dalton Schultz, and good things can happen.
Good things did happen again. Money Mills, as they like to call him. He made some money plays, and they need him to. Over 274 yards today after 290 last week. So if this was hopefully the last appearance for him in 2025, outside of some, end of game, take a knee or hand the ball off type of stuff, I got to say, I know that we had a little bit of the argument about backup quarterbacks and whatnot, but he's done his job the last 2 weeks. There is no.
You can win with a backup. Teams do it all over the league.
You can especially when you play bad teams too. I will admit.
Agree. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. What I also appreciate from Davis, two thoughts on Davis. One, I appreciate his ability, his escapability. He gets the game-winning touchdown last week with his legs. What did he rush for today? Davis Mills had 2 carries, 14 yards, but one of those was a 10-yard scamper, which pretty much put the team in first down territory.
And the other one was a good little scramble too. Sorry, real quick, because it was like on a first down, it was a broken play, and instead of getting nothing, he got like 4 yards.
You just got to keep the defense honest.
Yeah.
Just keep them honest. Make them defend the whole field. And the other thing I was going to add is, as we get ready to talk about the offensive line on the other side of this break, for me, I'd like to talk about the offensive line is Davis Mills sacked 4 times today. Sometimes the sacks are on CJ. CJ has a propensity over the last couple of seasons to hold on to the football too long. I don't know that was the case for Davis today. I think the offensive line had some breakdowns. It was a unique offensive line combo, but we can get to that after the break.
We're going to talk about that offensive line, some of the issues on it today, and if it has you any level of concern as you got Buffalo coming to town. We'll do that next here on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Before we get there, though, I want to talk to you guys about your cell phone. Yeah, Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. Yeah, that's right. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making a switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with big, high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. The setup, super easy, like I mentioned, keeping your phone number. Who doesn't want to? Nobody wants to change their phone number. That's what you get with Mint Mobile. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonNFL. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonNFL. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Texan Squad show after a victory against the Tennessee Titans. I'm Michael Connor. That is Stan Norfleet. Wade Smith unable to join us this weekend. He is off out of town with his daughters, and then we are also got John dealing with a whole sick house. So you got just the two of us here today. We, for the scheduling of this show, for those of you listening live and later on, Tuesday we'll have our normal show, and then we will be back again Thursday. So you'll have a weekend off from us because you get Tuesday, Thursday this week, which is, I hate Thursday night football personally, but it is what it is. You got to do it once a year. They're going to do it against the Buffalo Bills, which actually could be a good game. Let's hope. We'll see what'll happen in that one. What's going to have to happen? Yep. Yeah, they did, and with Keon Coleman being a healthy scratch because he can't show up to meetings too.
Somebody's gonna be mad at me. My guy asked me, should he start Keon Coleman?
You say yes
in his fantasy, and I said go with Keon Coleman.
Oh no! And he was out today.
Yeah, the scratch. Oh god!
Yeah, way to go, Stan. Don't go to Stan for your fantasy advice.
No, that's why I don't play it.
I don't play it either. I stopped like 5 years ago. I just can't do it anymore. But today, the offensive line, Stan, 4 sacks. You mentioned it before our break up against for Davis Mills today. I think you were right. Look, thinking back on them, and I had one because I wrote a note down on it. There was one specifically, and I'm trying to find it in my scratch here, where it was the third drive of the first half for the Texans, and it was on third down, and Ursery just got absolutely mauled. Yes, yeah, Arden. Seriously, yeah. Arden, I don't want to hear Arden Key's name again. He had a day today.
Arden Key had himself a day.
But what did you think overall of the offensive line today, good and bad?
I would say Ursery on that particular play, his body positioning and his footwork wasn't great. He got himself in a compromising position, and Arden Key used the speed, the power, the long arm pass rush move, and just ran his butt over, quite frankly. So that's not going to look good on film, but it's a National Football League. That's going to happen. There were some good things. I mentioned Trent Brown, mauling people in the run game. Trent Brown got to start at the right tackle spot. We saw Titus Howard. He kicks in the right guard. And then we got Jared Patterson got to start at left guard. So it was a unique offensive line combo. Jake Andrews there at the pivot spot at center. I didn't love the fact that the Texans, even though they had 18 for Woody Marks, the Texans only ran the ball 21 times with their running backs. I didn't think that was enough of an attempt, of an effort to run the football. And it sounds to me like I think that defensive line of the Titans probably got the best of them. If you combine, Woody Marks only had, and he was the leading rusher, 44 yards on 18 carries at just 2.4 yards per carry. The offensive line was not able to sustain their blocks long enough versus a formidable defensive front. And then in the pass pro, they got a little bit. They got a little bit of problem there. There's still some leakage, and teams are going to do this for the rest of the year. Buffalo and Sean McDermott, a prolific defensive coordinator like D'Amico in his own right, they're going to dial up some pressure against this team as well. When you show pressure looks, whether it's simulated pressure or you're bringing real stunts or blitz packages, this team is going to give up some. And they did so today. Again, Davis Mills was able to get the ball out mostly, but he was sacked 4 times, I believe.
3 carries for 17 yards on the last drive by Woody, by the way. So you can, if you take that out of the numbers, I know what you're talking about there. I didn't feel like they did that enough, and I wonder how much of that was the offensive line. Like, you're right. If they have this kind of game next week against Buffalo, which Buffalo, I don't know what to make of Buffalo too. Like, they just seem so hot and cold. Like, one week they come out, they're a good football team, no doubt.
Yeah.
But like one week they come out, they look like absolute buns, and then the next week they come back, they look good, and then they look bad again, and they look good again. Like, they are so hot and cold. So but I do know this: Davis Mills, if he is playing quarterback, won't have as great of a chance against them like he did today when they play Buffalo this week. I know
Buffalo just hung 44 points on a Tampa team that beat this Texans team. They just hung 44 points on them. So I would consider Buffalo a legitimate, bona fide contender.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. They can win the Super Bowl. They can absolutely win the Super Bowl this year. But can you live with the offensive line playing like this? Again, it's the question.
No. This was not a great effort. Cole Popovich, the offensive line coach for the Texans, he's probably the most popular offensive line coach in Texans history because we talked so much about how inept they were last year, and then he gets elevated to the full-time role this year for those that are keeping up with the soap opera that is the NFL and the Houston Texans. Not one of their better efforts. They've been doing this. They still go with this jumbo lineup when they put Blake Fisher in there at tight end. It was not one of their better efforts today. And surprisingly, even with that offensive line giving up a little bit of leakage, they still trusted Davis Mills to throw the ball 41 times, which is a bit of a head scratcher. But they have to be better in the run game. They absolutely have to. This is not good enough.
No, not good enough. Hey, you know what they did do, though? They gave him enough time, and I just have to sneak this in here. They gave Davis Mills enough time today to make sure that he could hit my boy Jaden Higgins for 4 catches and 55 yards.
Higgins looked good today.
I did like spreading it out today. The spreading it out was nice.
We talked about that last week. Like, I get it. It is vogue in the NFL right now to bunch things up so you can get on the outside and you can bunch these, what they call cluster formations, when you see those wide receivers. Yeah, just because it's 3 receivers out there doesn't mean it's trips, by the way, but we'll do that lesson when we do a breakdown another time. Bottom line is you bunch things up so receivers can get clean releases and you don't have you find a defender in a chase position, and you bunch things together so that you can run the ball on the perimeter and get these world-class athletes in space and make these defenders have to tackle. Space helps. Force feeding Nico helps. Dalton Schultz as a safety valve helps. Some explosiveness from Woody Marks. These are the formulas this is the formula that can help the Texans get more victories than L's.
You did mention they went with the jumbo set again today quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know that I don't know. We've had this discussion before, I think. I feel it's gimmicky, but it's gimmicky from the standpoint of you're having to do the gimmick because you're not good enough to play straight up all the time. That's just, I think that's where the talent level is of this team right now. But that's okay. Like, if it works for you, if it works for you, it works, right? Like, but I think that they did one thing. I'll give Nick Caley. I'm going to give Nick Caley some love here. They ran that jumbo set on one of the plays to Nico Collins, where Nico was out to the left, and they set it up, making it look like it's going to be able to run with the jumbo. And Nico's basically the only guy that runs a little route back to the inside in the middle of the field and got like 16 yards. I'm like, where is this all the time? If you're going to use that jumbo set, do this, please.
Yeah, Nico has the ability with his size and athleticism. Nico's one of those guys that's never really not open. It's just, if you as a quarterback can fit the ball in there, he's going to create adequate enough separation. He's going to be crispy in his route running. And if it's a 50-50 ball, then I'm trusting Nico Collins is going to come down with that. So it's on Nick Caley and the rest of that offensive staff, of course, D'Amico Ryans, to put his input on how they want to feature, get Nico attempts. You know how we have volume running backs? Sometimes you have volume receivers. Get Nico Collins the opportunities, and he's going to deliver. And he's able to do that in the short, intermediate, and in the deep levels of the field.
He did that today. And you know what? We've done all this talking too. And we're going to talk. I do want to talk about, we've talked about the offensive line. I do want to talk about things maybe that bothered us in the football game here in a few minutes. Some that didn't bother me today, outside of some stuff late, which I'll save for the next segment, overall, this is another week where we come in here and, we talk like we have basically since the summer when we started this show. Everything's offense with this football team because it's the biggest level of concern.
Right.
But again, the defense, I know that they gave the touchdown there in the fourth quarter, but basically another flawless game up and down. I just, going through it, I mean, how many of these drives? I guess if there was one thing, at times they had a little bit of trouble getting off the field on third down today. But, they went out, they made plays. They made Cam Ward. I got to say it, man. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to be hot take guy. Cam Ward does not impress me. I don't know. I know he's on a bad football team. I think his mechanics suck, and he dips in and out of good mechanics and bad mechanics all the time. Like, you're never going to play with consistency. But they made life hell on him again today, and the Texans just did their thing like they do every week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not overly impressed with Cam Ward as the number one overall selection in this past year's draft. There are some leadership components that people like and rave about, but I just don't see a guy that's got juice. Now, he's not on a very good football team. Calvin Ridley leaves the game there with an injury. Yeah, and he was fighting through a hamstring to get back on the field. So you lose your best wide receiver, and they just don't have enough horses to really support him, but that's a them problem. Defensively, I thought the Texans were their usual self. I mean, they held they held the Titans to 58-yard rushing. You make a team one-dimensional, and then you're able to tee off and go rush the passer. There's Will Anderson Jr. They forced a turnover. Will Anderson Jr. gets a fumble recovery, and there's Will Anderson Jr. with a sack. There's Daniil Hunter, the reigning AFC Defensive Player of the Week. He gets another sack and a half, so looks like he's revving up and getting into form there. There's our guy, Tommy T, showing up again today. Yeah, he gets half a sack. So I thought they did some really good things and stuff in the run, making them one-dimensional, and then being able to tee off against the passer. But the one thing that stands out to me, and that final drive where Tennessee ties the ball game, they go 11 plays. I forget the amount of yardage. They go 11
yards.
11 plays, 95 yards. Thank you. And they get that game-tying score. The Texans are giving up some stuff late. Yeah, they did it against the Rams. They did it against Tampa. They now done it against Jacksonville. They've now done it again. Something is happening late where they're getting these breakdowns late in the ball game. I don't know if it's fatigue. I don't know if they're playing conservative from a play call standpoint, whatever Matt Burke and D'Amico are dialing up over there. But I know it just doesn't look good. It sends the message to the rest of the league that if you hang around long enough, we'll keep you in this ball game. You'll have an opportunity to win late, and that just shouldn't happen. Now, we also, when we talk about their defense, MC, I asked you, with MJ Stewart being on IR, obviously CJ Gardner-Johnson not on this ball club. They go with Bryant. Miles Bryant gets the start today, led this team to tackles. What'd you see back there in the secondary? How pleased were you there?
I mean, I was pretty thrilled overall with the day. I know it gets easier when the Titans lose their top two receivers for a team that already struggles, but I mean, to me, there was never any moments really. I know, again, they had some moments where they didn't get off the field on third down. They did give up a few big third down plays. I think it was like a 3rd and 16 once, and then it was like a 3rd and 12, whatever it was. But I overall, I'm not. If you're asking me one thing in the secondary that still bothers me a little bit, I still don't feel like Derek Stingley's playing his best football this year.
He's not. He's not playing at an all-pro level overall. Now, again, I say it every week. How much is his health a part of that? That happens. But that's what makes the great ones great. They find a way to be productive even when you're nicked up a little bit. But when I look at, the receivers, I mean, their leading receiver for Tennessee was the running back. It was Tajay Spears. He had 5 catches for 31 yards. And then, you had Okonkwo. He had 56 yards from the tight end spot. So they just didn't have the receivers. This is not a fair game to really judge and criticize the secondary for the simple fact that Tennessee is just inept at the wide receiver position when Ridley goes down.
And I did want to mention one thing before our timeout too. You mentioned the turnover. Will Anderson had the strip sack, which was a great play. Mm-hmm. You remember when we did the first 2 shows of the year and they didn't have any turnovers, and we were like, "Where are the turnovers?" We were a little freaking out a little bit. It's 8 consecutive games now with at least 1 turnover. So
that's winning football. That's championship level football. And by holding the Titans to 13 points today, I presume that the Texans will go into week 12 next week versus Buffalo as the number one defense in the league in terms of points allowed. They've got to be one of the top run defenses in the league as well. Like, this is a real crew. I saw Azeez Al-Shire flying around, being active, making some plays as well. But this defense goes with what's happening up front. Kalen Bullock continues to grow back there as he gets more experience at that safety spot. And again, Miles Bryant today, Miles Bryant filled in admirably in the absence of Jalen Petrie. Miles Bryant led the team with 8 tackles. Let's see, pass defense. Yeah, 5 pass defense. So you had 5 different defenders that had 1. So it was a group effort today, shutting down the run and then making them one dimension.
Doing their thing. We'll talk about some of the things maybe that bothered us overall in the football game today, things that you don't want to see again next week when they play that short week against Buffalo. We'll do that here in a brief moment. Locked on Texans Squad Show. And the NBA is back. Yeah, Rockets are playing tonight. I have to tune into that one for a little bit, but there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Texans victorious over those lowly Tennessee Titans. Everybody loves to hear that in the city of Houston. I was thinking about that before the game. Michael Conner, Stan Norfleet. I'd go on a little bit of tangent. I think about franchises that are poorly run all the time, and I complain about the Texans at times and the ownership. There might not be. I think without a doubt, the Titans are one of the 5 worst franchises in the league in terms of how they're run. Because think about they had an AFC Championship game a few years ago with Ryan Tannehill, Mike Vrabel. That was the best era that they've pretty much had outside of when they went to Tennessee and went to the Super Bowl and lost by a yard.
To the Rams,
yeah. But they're always a mess. It feels like every time you come around to see them on the schedule, they just can be a cakewalk.
See, that's the hard part about the National Football League is it starts in the front office. They have not been able to have consistent pairing from a head coach and a GM standpoint. When the head coach, GM, and quarterback have stability and consistency, they can grow and build together. That's why Cal and Hannah are probably slow to be able to pivot off Nick Caserio, excuse me. They want to try and keep Caserio, D'Amico, and CJ together as long as they can. And sometimes organizations, they miss. And I think this is now, I want to say they've had 3 GMs in the past decade. Maybe 3 GMs in the last 8 years. You just can't be successful, and you can't build out a roster with that much inconsistency. Thankfully, the Texans don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, they don't. They only have to worry about what they do, which is go out there and win and then beat those Tennessee Titans on top of that. Hey, look who is popping in to see us here for a few minutes too. Here's John Hickman. Hello, John.
Hey guys,
live over there.
What's up?
I'm live. What's going on? Stan the man, MC. I'm live. I'm situated. I'm not at the field like I was last time, and I know you guys have had some great conversations to this point about the Houston Texans game. That it felt like all the work they put in last week was out the door today. And I need to go back and read the comments because Stan, I know you said some things that just turned them people up. But
no, I didn't. I've been extremely complimentary today.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been really nice actually for a game that was as ugly and disgusting as it was overall as a football fan and the experience of it. I feel like we've been extremely nice about it.
It was a hard watch.
It was. It wasn't a clean game by the offensive line. I think that's where it starts. And Davis Mills with 41 attempts is way too bleeping many for Davis Mills to be having. I don't think Woody Marks, 18 carries. He got to start today, as you know, John. But I don't think they stayed consistent with the run game. What'd you say, MC? 3 carries for 17 yards on that final drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, help get into field goal range. That game was hard to watch. It did feel like, the mojo that they put together last week was, out the window. Again, the highlight may be, and I see it here, giving it to Nico Collins, who showed up for Houston offensively when they needed him to. But just like last week, we can't overlook the great job the defense did. The front four, let me say that. The back half of that defense, they had blunders all day. Still don't know how the Titans tight end got behind Kamara Lassiter on that catch that got him down to the end zone goal line there. But Daniil Hunter showed up. Will Anderson showed up. Those guys did a phenomenal job. And
Tommy
T feels like Khalil Davis 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's exactly who he is.
Remember when Khalil Davis was turning up? Everybody like, man, the player got to come down. Didn't do that. So hopefully Tommy T sticks around, because I think Tennessee ended their day off with almost 2 yards of carry rushing the ball. It wasn't a good day for them on the ground as well. So I thought the front four won Houston to the game today.
I think it's a fair way to put it. The one thing that we were going into this segment, John, we were talking a little bit about things that we might not have liked this week that that you can't have again next week. And we mentioned it a minute ago, Stan, the last drive of the game, and whatever it is, whatever the reason is, those 2 penalties on that last drive for the defense. Now, the Derek Stingley one probably happens 15, 20 times a game, and it doesn't get called in the NFL. But it got caught. It got caught right there, and they called it. And then the hands to the face. I mean, look, they gave the Titans every chance. I mean, that was the frustrating part. You've played this perfect game basically all day, and then you go into this series and you just give them opportunities to go down the field. And then to Cam Ward's credit, I was sitting here saying I'm not the biggest Cam Ward guy. That was a hell of a throw he made down the field to get them within inside the 10 there, and that's why they tied the game up right there.
Yeah, I think defensively, John, I said this before you joined, there are certain times, especially late in ball games. We've now seen it, the Rams game. We saw it in Tampa. We saw it versus Jacksonville the first time. We're seeing it again. Late in ball games, this team, for whatever reason, they will give up some money. And they will allow teams to get back in the ball game. And it has created some problems. So they play so well, and statistically it looks great. And the aesthetics of Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. crashing the edge. But when it's money time, you got to be able to take the ball away, and you got to be able to keep the opponent out the red zone. So it's just something that I keep my eyes on, especially as this weather gets ready to change going into December and January.
It's going to get cold. And you know what, Stan? I think you pointed this out on the fly a couple of times, but it's been 8 weeks now, 9 weeks without CJ Gardner-Johnson. So
can't blame him anymore.
Can't blame him. So what's going on the back half of that defense to where they continue to have those issues? No Peach Day, of course, he's still call. Miles Brown was out there, and for Miles Brown to be the vet that he is, I was disappointed and underwhelmed from his performance today.
Led the team in tackles.
He led the team. That's not always a good sign, though.
I agree. I'm just acknowledging that he did lead the team in tackles.
Did you guys? Because I see, gotta give it to Nico, right? Did you guys talk about Christian Kirk?
I did. I thought about him during the game too. I'm like, what does this guy work? Like, what is he bringing to this football team at this point?
So you're over there on the right in the graphic, it said, "What bothered you?" The thing that bothered me the most today is where my number one receiver was getting money. Where was my number two receiver? One reception on 4 targets for 6 yards.
Your number two, who the Houston Texans should be the number two moving forward. Come on, MC. I need you, MC.
I've already brought him up. Mr. Jaden Higgins, 4 catches, 55 yards on 7 targets, including a long of 23. And he would have had more if Davis Mills didn't overthrow him.
Jaden Higgins is not this team's number 2 receiver.
Yes, he is.
Stop this. He's not.
Okay, he's 2B, because 2A is Dalton Schultz. 2B is Jaden Higgins.
Higgins is not having a better year than Hutch. Hutch is having a better year.
Hutch only had 42 catches today, 42 yards today. Excuse me. So I don't want to
how
hear
many catches?
That's on 3. That's 3.
Okay, thank you.
That's 3 or
Thank you.
13 yards less and only
Thank you.
0.2 more per catch.
And they got the same amount of touchdowns. They both have 3.
Jaden Higgins.
Hutch, my man. Go ahead.
Kirk, it feels like, I was watching the game and I felt like just asking myself, why is he out there still? What is he bringing to the table that can help this offense get over the – now, we talk about anything bad or good from Davis Mills. That touchdown throw that was dropped by Christian Kirk, I thought that was a dot.
I thought the one that when he laid the football to Nico Collins for the toe drag swag on that game-winning drive, I thought that was the best ball of his career. I ain't never seen Davis do that.
Ooh, that was a good throw.
I don't know. Didn't he have a big throw in that game against the Colts where they got the second pick in the draft at the end of the game? Was that him?
Oh, yeah, that was him.
That might be his best throw of his career.
We didn't have to get the best precision throw? Maybe not, but was that like the throw we're going to remember him by? Yes. But for Christian Kirk, I don't want to insert this player would have caught that, this player would have caught that. I don't want to do that. But for Kirk, for Houston to trade for you, 7th-round pick, albeit not a lot, take on that contract, which where he is in his career right now is a lot. Those moments the Texans got to have. And it seems like time and time again, when he is out on the field, there are too many moments where I come away from those games and I feel like, what did Christian Kirk bring to the table today? And we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. I highlighted even more on the show why it's important for Houston, and I'm not sure what the snap count is going to look like, but it's important for Houston to just bite the bullet on that. It's a failed project and put either Jalen Noel out there a lot more in replacement of his snaps or more snaps for Xavier Hutchinson. But I'm starting to feel like Houston should absolutely just Kirk, you're reserved to a wide receiver 4 role, maybe even 5, depending on the matchup. Because when he's out there, it feels like the productivity is non-existent.
I got a question for Nick Caserio.
I'm gonna play Nick Caserio.
Your predecessor.
You're not white. And you don't have a vest on, John.
I was gonna say the vest, and you don't drink smoothies around the clock and eat chai seeds and all this other madness that Caserio.
I love a good smoothie, but I ain't doing no chai.
I do appreciate a good smoothie as well. Why can't we find a consistent number 2 receiver in Houston? It's a different person every single year, but we watch other teams consistently have.
They had a number 2 briefly.
I said consistently.
Yeah, I know.
Consistently, this team is not
a factor in 2024, I think, but that's a good question. And it does feel like
for like 4 or 5 years now, since we've drafted Nico, since DeAndre Hopkins left Houston, they have not had a consistent number 2, and it's going to be somebody different next year. Now,
Yeah, you're right. Last year they had Diggs. He was the number 2 clear cut. But yeah.
And then in 2023, Tank Dell had a breakout rookie year until he got injured. So you had some guys. We remember who was there? Bobby Trees was helpful. You had Noah Brown was helpful. But we don't have those guys anymore. So it's just a rotating. I don't believe Jaden Higgins is a number 2. I'm reading the comments. Everybody loves Jaden Higgins over there. I know how the both of you feel about Jaden Higgins. I just don't see it. I understand the athletic profile. I fully suspect that in free agency this year, that Nick Caserio or whoever the GM may be needs to go get a real number 2 wide receiver.
I think when we take a look at this year, 2024, it's hard to kind of discuss because if the injuries don't happen, Houston has a number 1, a number 2, and a number 3.
No question.
and it's a different season. The outcome may be different.
I agree with that.
But for 2025, I think what's been so difficult is you don't believe in Jaden Higgins to be the number 2. But how many drops does he have this year? He catches almost anything that comes his way. The issue this year has been the up and down snap share. Is he out there? Is he not out there? And then also when the offense breaks down, you got Nico. You have CJ Stroud. He's going to find Nico because he's the only receiver that he has consistent communication with since his career
Yeah.
started here in Houston, along with Dalton Schultz, which is why we've seen the revitalized Dalton Schultz career. No CJ Stroud, but we know for sure the two draft classmates, that's all they know if it all breaks down, if for Mills and Nico. So I think this year is kind of hard. If I'm being fair, it's kind of hard to gauge simply because for a good part of the season to open it up, the confusion with Nick Caley was everywhere. Is it Patriot background? Is it Rams background? How do you want to kind of engage and put those rookies out there? Justin, remember we used to see Justin Watson out on the field a lot. So do I think Jaden Higgins is Barrios, right, when he got healthy? Of course, Xavier Hutchinson, who I think all things considered, he's had a decent season, his best of his young NFL career. It's hard to say whether or not Jaden Higgins is this team's number 2. It's hard to say whether or not he could be a number 2 in the league. I think he is, but I also have to take into consideration the lack of opportunities in a passing league for a number 2 receiver, where one week it may be Higgins, the next week it may be Kirk, the next week it may be Schultz, and that's been more consistent. He's a tight end. We may get a sprinkle here too from Jalen Noel because of the targets he may be getting in the game. It just hasn't been consistent across the board to, I think, fairly judge these younger receivers.
And I think that's my point. If the goal is to win the Super Bowl, I look at what they're doing in Philly, right? Like they have a couple guys. What is Sean McVay got with the Rams right now?
2 superstar guys.
You better have you a couple because you got to put these points up. Unless you have an alien, I got to get it in every show. Unless you got an alien at the quarterback spot, you better make sure that you have at least 2 legitimate dogs at that wide receiver position. Or I'm going to say the combination of wide receiver, or unless you just got a special tight end, what Kelsey has been in Kansas City.
Well, hopefully Higgins can go ahead and take care of that number 2 spot for the rest of the season. Let's just hope that's what happens. That would be a good thing for the Texans.
It would be a great thing for the Texans.
Let's take our final timeout. When we return, we will try to get you a little bit ready for Tuesday, or at least some early thoughts for Thursday as well. Here on the Locked On Texans Squad show. All right, back on the Squad show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman with you. Appreciate you watching live, watching later on, listening, whatever it is. Make sure that you're always checking out the Texan Squad show. Make sure you're checking out John with the Daily Podcast as well. You can get this podcast anywhere that you get your podcast going. Search Locked On Texans. And guess what? It costs you absolutely nothing. All right, real quick predictions. Oh, actually, before I did that, I was just, when you guys were that last segment, I went back because you said that was probably Davis Mills' best throw of his career, Stan. And you're right, from a pure quarterback throwing the football, accuracy, putting it right where it needs to be, and then the receiver making a ridiculous catch. I went back and I just found the video of the final drive against the Colts in that 2022 season, week 18. It was a prayer that he threw up, and Jordan Akins caught it. And then I forgot they had to go for 2, or they didn't have to. They went for 2, and he found Akins again wide open in the end. Like, Davis Mills has got some history for this franchise now.
He is by far this team's best backup quarterback in franchise history.
I don't know. No. That one.
TJ Yates backing up Sharp.
Or the Rosencopter himself.
Okay, you know what? TJ Yates won a playoff game against Cincinnati.
TJ did win a playoff game.
I was at that game.
Baltimore, too.
TJ Yates. I'm going to go TJ Yates. Thank you for the history lesson there. TJ Yates and Davis Mills. Without Davis Mills completing that throw and a 2-point conversion, does Houston have CJ Stroud? And also, let's look at what's currently going on. If Davis Mills doesn't win these last 2 games, he has, 4 total touchdowns the last 2 games? Is Houston still in this playoff race?
Nope.
So
Davis has earned his money the last 2 weeks. No question about it.
And he may have to earn it again on Thursday. Year.
Oh, John, you missed it earlier. MC had to admit, backup quarterbacks can win ball games.
Against bad teams, yeah.
Hey, Jacksonville, they went crazy today.
Jacksonville played the frauds that are the Los Angeles Chargers and that fraud quarterback. It was a fraud. You're right. It's a fraud off between Herbert and Lawrence.
It was two scam likely calls calling each other. That's those teams are.
Well, listen,
one's asking for health insurance, one's asking for car insurance.
Here's your personal loan. That's what I get all there. Here's your personal loan,
gentlemen. There's a real football team coming in here on Thursday.
There is.
Yes, it is.
Like you're about to play one of those teams again.
It is.
Do we have confidence that the effort they put out there today is going to be good enough, or will they rise to the occasion of what's going to take place in front of the nation on Thursday night?
You know, I want to answer that by asking since Ed Oliver has been out, what has the Buffalo Bills defensive front been able to do?
Yeah, it hasn't been great.
It ain't been great. Now, granted, Buffalo and Josh Allen, they're going to score points. So you can get away with Davis Mills against Jacksonville. You can get away with Davis Mills against Tennessee, and you barely were able to do that. But don't know if he was strategic by the Houston Texans or not. I hadn't heard anything. I'm only speculating. Did they feel like Davis Mills is good enough to beat the Tennessee Titans, the worst team in the NFL, which will give their quarterback a couple of more days to get right? Because I think you're absolutely going to need C.J. Stroud, not only for Buffalo, but for the rest of the season, if you want a shot to make the playoffs.
See, I'm concerned about C.J. not playing the last 2 weeks. And then, of course, if he's ready to go, I want my starting quarterback out there. But I'm just saying from a efficiency standpoint, I don't know C.J. with 2 weeks off, and then you go put him out there versus Sean McDermott. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. I wish there was like
how's the pressure been from the D line and the front seven altogether without Ed Oliver? Because
here's my biggest question is, you mentioned their defensive front. Okay, I think that's great, which is definitely going to be a problem, especially if you don't have CJ out there. But it's John, I think you said a minute ago, they're going to score points. How do we know that Buffalo's going to score points? They came in here to Houston last year, and it was Josh Allen's worst game of his career, probably. How do we know that the Texans can't just replicate that again?
Because we don't see Josh Allen do that. Like I think that's an anomaly. I feel very bad. I feel very safe.
They've lost twice on the road this year. They've got 3 losses, 2 of them on the road to the Falcons and the Dolphins.
So
fair point by you. I just can't bet that Josh Allen is going to come in and play like that again.
Since September, well, let's say since October, 20 points, 14 points, 40 points, 28 points, 13 points, and today 44. So it's extremely up and down, not a consistent output of points. But again, when I look at the number that I think I'm looking at the most, they currently have 25 sacks on a year. Yeah, Oliver's not playing. He only has 3 sacks on the year. Those guys do a good job of kind of supplementing pressure from other areas. But without Ed Oliver, can Houston's offensive line perform better? Their biggest issue this year, Stan and MC, y'all let me know if I'm tripping or not. If a team has a dominant inside player, then that messes up Houston's offensive line more than a dominant edge rusher.
It happened today. Well, yeah. I'm not going to say that, because we know what Josh Allen did. If you remember what Young from the Rams, the Rams got busy on the edge. We know what Josh Allen did on the edge. But Vita Vea today, Jeffrey Simmons was a problem in there. When they do get these, Zach Allen versus the Denver Broncos, Zach Allen was in there having his way. I don't think Jake Andrews is having a great year. I think that Jake Andrews at the center spot, and I was very vocal about this when they picked him. I was like, why the hell is he starting over Jared Patterson? I don't care that you're familiar with him. We've won games with Jared Patterson at center. We've won a playoff game with Jared Patterson at center. Put JP in there. Now Patterson gets to start. Now they got him playing left guard today. John, we talked about the offensive line, unique combination today. Trent Brown at right tackle, Titus Howard goes at right guard, Jared Patterson goes at left guard. We know that Ursery is out there at the left tackle spot. By the way, Ursery got baptized by Arden Key. I know that you hadn't said that, John. Yeah, you didn't think I was watching? Yeah, I saw what was going on out there. No, the young fella, he's getting better. He's growing. You're going to have those. It's the NFL. You're going against elite athletes on the defensive front. But yeah, this defense of the Bills, they still have Bosa, Daquan Jones, Greg Russo. I love Matt Milano now that he's healthy back from at the linebacker spot. And then Christian Benford, they bring back Jordan Poyer. Those are some experienced real dudes on that side of the ball.
Let me rephrase my statement. Houston's, when that offensive line breaks down and have issues, whether it's by blitz or stunts, because Seattle went that inside
they did.
Tackle protection.
The TE game, yeah.
It gives Houston's inside guys a lot of fits. And I think it not having Ed Oliver out there helps Houston a lot. But Buffalo can still simulate pressure by doing different things. And so the number one thing for Houston is they're going to have to be able to do two things. Run block. This offense looks
number one.
That's number one. This offense looks night and day when your running backs are not going for 1.8 yards per carry. And when you get to the 20, don't have brain farts. When you get to that red zone, make you some money.
Why are we having to throw the ball to Nico Collins from the 3-yard line?
Oh, he's one of your best players.
No, we shouldn't have to throw the football to score. Now, I mean that close. Why can't this team, when they get in the low red area, consistently be physical at the point of attack and push the ball in and run game?
Well, Stan, I think, when you get down to that area where everything is so condensed, it's not a lot of space.
I get it.
That's a lot of advantage for the defense, especially for an offense that has consistently had those issues. That's just where they are right now.
But the head coach told us the other week, we have to be physical down in the short yardage and goal line areas. We have to physically be able to run it in. Now, we all agree they don't have the makeup to do that. And I'm looking at you, Jake Andrews. But now that Trent Brown, when I got Trent Brown and Titus beside each other, I should have the confidence to run the football from the 3-yard line.
Did they even run it towards the right side?
On that final drive, from my memory, it looked like that Woody Marks was going to the right of Jake Andrews in that A gap, kind of going up the middle.
Well, I'm talking about when they got to the red zone. Did they run towards?
I don't think so.
They did it.
It's a decision-making thing, too, in terms of sequencing the plays from Nick Caley. Some things that he'll have to learn, especially if he gets another shot, either here in Houston or somewhere else. But, Stan, I agree with you a lot, man. You got Howard out there. You got Big Trent Brown out there. At the very least, Woody run right behind Howard, Brown, and I'm going to give you a fullback.
And I can put Jakob Johnson at fullback, and I got Blake Fisher out there as my jumbo tight end.
Yeah.
So I should be able to run the football with that combination. And why Nick Caley isn't dialing it up like that, I'm uncertain. But let me be clear. When we think about, as I pivot real quick, I'll come to you and see, I'm sorry. This Buffalo game is about one dude. If Josh Allen is on his game, the Texans will lose.
Yeah.
Last year, they were able to mitigate Josh Allen, as MC said earlier in the broadcast, arguably his worst game of his career. Now, I'm betting he won't play that bad again. If Josh Allen is doing it with his arm and his legs, this is going to create a problem. I'll take you back to, you know what Baker Mayfield did to this team in NRG on Monday Night Football with his legs.
I'm glad you said this, Stan.
Yeah. Josh Allen today, by the way, 6 total touchdowns, 3 throwing, 3 rushing.
Good Lord.
I'm not winning my fantasy matchup. I have been president of the Henry Tortora fan club. I'm going to have to go ahead and step down. You talk about things that bother me, the consistent missed tackles. It's inexcusable. For Houston, if you want to put him out there for first down, because he's good against the run, But when it comes to getting in space and having to secure a tackle to stop a 3rd and 9 to be converted to get a first down, I don't, and I'm sure you guys don't. The Texans fan base don't, and quietly, maybe the Texans coaching staff no longer has confidence in him to be able to make a stop solo. He's going to miss a tackle. I just wanted to add that. It's frustrating to watch.
It's absolutely frustrating. So, what's also frustrating is when you lose. You didn't lose today, so we'll got to get out of here on this one, guys. We'll give our parting shots. What are you feeling as the Texans sit at 5-5 and they head into the short week? Stan, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I'd say kudos to D'Amico Ryans for keeping his ball club engaged. Nick Caley has had some areas of improvement. They've still got this flux. Offensive line is still in flux. But in spite of C.J. Stroud not being on the field the last 2 weeks, they have done enough, winners 5 of their last 7, to get back to 500 and remain in the hunt. They've given themselves a chance. Now here comes the meat of that schedule. These next 3 weeks are going to determine the Texans season, but it all started by taking care of business today.
Yeah. I'm going to follow up on that with the same thing. They started off 0-3. They're now 5-5. They fought through adversity. It got a little bit chippy there in the media. It got a little bit chippy nationally and locally. Yeah. Even without your quarterback for the last 2 games, like Stan said, you found a way to get it done. Last week, it was a miracle comeback. Do you believe in magic or do you believe in Mills? This week, it was a close one, but you got it done. So I think no matter how we look at this season, and obviously the goal is to make the playoffs, this is the first time that I think we've seen the Houston Texans get punched in the mouth and face the adversity with the expectations that they have under D'Amico Ryans. And they responded to it well enough to get back to 500, and I think that's commendable.
I think it's absolutely commendable. I'll give mine here. If the Houston Texans find a way to beat the Buffalo Bills, put me right back on the train, baby. They're going to the playoffs.
Wow.
If they beat Buffalo, they got to beat Buffalo to get there. I won't say it if they lose to Buffalo. So we will do that Thursday night. We will also do this show Tuesday night. If you want to watch us live, listen to us live on YouTube, make sure that you stop by and do that. We'll be here Tuesday and then again Thursday after the game against the Bills. We'll get it all ready to go for you and take a look back on anything we've seen in the film between now and then in that Buffalo game. For John and Stan, I am Michael. Thank you for joining us on the Squad Show. We'll talk to you again Tuesday to get you ready for Texans Bills.